40,000 years ago, someone stood on a beach and stared at open water. They had never seen the other side. There was no boat, as you'd recognize one. No map, no compass. And yet, they got in the water anyway. That single decision is the reason you exist where you exist today. Right now, humans live on every continent, except Antarctica. But 300,000 years ago, every single human on Earth lived in one place, Africa. So what changed? Around 70,000 years ago, small groups began walking north, out of Africa, into Asia. Not because they had a plan, because the food ran out. Climate scientists studying ancient pollen and ice cores believe shifting rainfall patterns pushed early humans to follow herds, rivers, and coastlines. One valley at a time, one generation after another. No one alive then knew they were starting a journey that would take 100,000 years to finish. Here's where it gets strange. During the Ice Age, so much of Earth's water froze solid that sea levels dropped over 300 feet. Land that's underwater today was dry ground back then. A strip of land called Beringia connected Asia directly to North America. Humans didn't sail to the Americas. They walked there, chasing mammoths, completely unaware they were entering a continent no human had ever touched. Imagine not knowing you're making history. You're just hungry, and there's food ahead. But not every barrier could be walked across. To reach Australia, humans had to cross at least 50 miles of open ocean. And they did this over 50,000 years ago, according to research from archaeologist Sue O'Connor at the Australian National University. 50,000 years before the wheel was invented, humans were already building ocean-capable rafts. Think about that for 1 second. No metal tools, no nades, no written language. Just rope made from plant fiber, logs lashed together, and a wool strong enough to ignore fear. How do you steer a raft across open ocean with nothing but your eyes? You watch the stars. Polynesian navigators, thousands of years later, were still using this exact method, tracking star paths across the night sky to hold a straight course for weeks. They read wave patterns bouncing off islands they couldn't yet see. They watched which direction birds flew home at sunset, because birds always know where land is. None of this knowledge was written down. It lived inside memory, passed from one navigator to the next, refined by people who didn't survive the mistakes. Every shipwreck taught the next generation something. Every successful crossing became a story, then a method, then a tradition. Meanwhile, other groups were adapting to something just as deadly, cold. Around 40,000 years ago, humans pushed into Siberia, into temperatures that could kill an unprepared person in under an hour. Archaeological finds at sites like Sungir, in modern Russia, reveal humans sewing fitted clothing using bone needles, trapping body heat the same way a parka does today. This wasn't survival by luck. This was engineering, built from animal hide, bone, and trial and error passed down for generations. How does one species survive freezing tundra and scorching desert with the exact same body? It doesn't adapt its body. It adapts its behavior. That's the trick. That's the entire secret. Humans didn't evolve thick fur for the cold or special skin for the desert. We evolved something rarer, the ability to learn fast enough to outrun our own biology. By around 15,000 years ago, humans had crossed into the Americas and were already moving south. Within a few thousand years, they reached the southern tip of South America. From the first footprint outside Africa to the bottom of an entirely different continent, the journey covered more than 14,000 miles. No Indians, no roads, no satellites watching from above. Just footsteps, rafts, courage, and time. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Every single person walking that frozen land bridge, every person on that raft heading toward Australia, had no idea what they were creating. They weren't thinking about you. They were thinking about the next meal, the next shelter, the next sunrise. And yet, every choice they made, every risk they survived, is the reason your specific bloodline exists in your specific corner of the world. You didn't choose where you were born, but somewhere behind you, an ancestor chose to keep walking when stopping would have been so much easier. The map of the world wasn't drawn by explorers with flags and ships. It was drawn one terrified, hungry footstep at a time, by people who never once saw the bigger picture they were creating. You are not just living on this planet. You're standing on the exact spot where someone, long ago, decided not to turn back.